Hey guys, Jeffries here, and welcome back to the Jeffries network on OpenTTD. And today is Thursday. I don't know why I'm saying that with loads of enthusiasm, because Thursday really is a kind of day, really. You're that close to the weekend, but you know you've still got 2 days. It's torture. Although, if you're watching this, then you know that it's only, well, providing you live in England or Europe, you know you've only got 1 day to the weekend. If you live in Australia, it's actually less than that, and if you live in America, it's unfortunately more than that. But we'll gloss over that because it's really not relevant to the series at all. So welcome back to the Jeffries network, and we're just currently at GSG watching the new trains coming through. Quite full actually. I'm quite pleased with how many passengers we've got on board. I think we've got a good number. Plus the existing trains seem to be running alongside quite nicely as well. I assume that one's just come out of the depot, which is why it's not got anybody on board. So today I want to look at this line. And I want to get the list up. I think it's this one. Yep. This is the one I want to work on next. You see we've got a big line planned ahead of us. And there's lots and lots of towns / cities along the way. So let's get straight into it, shall we? Straight into it without further ado. Now I want the first station to be here at Lattston. It sort of goes against what I've said in the past about trying to keep away from, you know, two towns that are relatively close together. But I think actually in terms of building the railway, it's probably one of the best places to have the first station. It's not too far away. As I said, I would have had one here at Plonston if the landscape had been slightly more in my favour, which it unfortunately wasn't. So that's why that one didn't happen. But this one here is definitely more in line with where to build a station. And actually, whilst I'm doing this, I want to talk to you guys about something that's it's not good news, really. Well, I'll say that it's not really news at all. It's not good, is what I want to say, and it's about criticism. Now, let me start by saying this: criticism doesn't bother me. Okay, people might get confused with what I'm going to say in this next segment, but criticism, on a whole, does not bother me. I can take criticism. That's fine. It's how a channel grows. It's how a channel improves. You know, if you don't listen to criticism and don't take it on board, you will never get better. That's be all and end all of it. However, having said that, criticism, you know, at a stage, a line is drawn, and it gets to the point where no more, basically, and that's unfortunately happened on my channel. What day is it today? Today is Thursday, so Tuesday it would have been. In fact, was it? Yeah. It came from Monday night's Minecraft video. And I've said this a lot of times. It's one of the reasons why the Minecraft videos stopped. The lag. You know, the lag was an absolute killer. It was really destroying my gameplay. It was making it really difficult to record. The videos themselves looked awful. You know, that's why I took time off. I thought I'd fixed it. I came back. The Crack Pack episode 1, I thought was actually okay. You know, at the time of recording this, over 30 people have watched it, which, I mean, I'd still like that number to be higher, but I would take that as a good omen that many people have watched it and nobody said anything until one particular person who, if they're watching this, you know who you are. I'm not going to name anybody, but what I will say is the line was drawn. Sorry, I'm just having to delete all this because I've built this too much. The line was drawn very early on in my conversations with this particular individual. And I have said this before. I think I said this in my Cities in Motion series. And the main response was sort of in my favour, although I don't want people to take sides necessarily. I want people to take notice more than take sides. Because as I say, criticism is fine. If someone says something to me like his sound was a little off, that's fine. It's not even criticism. It's a statement. You know, if the sound's a little off, that's fine. But having spent God knows how long telling you guys about Minecraft and what was going on with it, and sort of the problems with recording, and you know, the lag, and trying to fix it, and trying to get a server running, and just all of that. I would have hoped that people would have listened, and the majority of you have listened, and that's good. Believe me, I'm not complaining about that at all. But to have someone just not even comment on the video, but send me a tweet telling me that my videos are unprofessional, that's where the line is drawn. You know, you can criticize the quality of the audio, you can criticize the quality of the sound. That is the audio. Duh. You can criticize the quality of the audio, you can criticize the quality of the video, but what you cannot do is call me unprofessional. I am not unprofessional. You know, I am studying for a degree in media design. I know what I am doing. Believe me, if I had the money, I would have the best equipment known to man. I would spend thousands on getting the right equipment to make my videos the best they could possibly be. But I do not have that luxury. You know, I am a student, trying to live to a student budget. Trying to save up for a future. So, to call me unprofessional because I'm not willing to spend thousands and thousands of pounds on beefing up my computer to be able to support Minecraft and record at the same time, and not just Minecraft but high spec Minecraft. I let myself down on that one, but you know, just any quality equipment really. The PC that I've got now, I built myself and basically got it for half price because I built it myself. I didn't have a clue what I was doing when I first got the parts. I needed lots of help from my dad, who does know computers, or he knows computers more than I do anyway. And although I built the PC myself, I had strict supervision to make sure that nothing went wrong. And I did all that just to save money. Believe me, if I had the choice, I would go to a PC shop and just say, your best computer please, and just tell them, you know, give them whatever they ask for in terms of money. But I don't have that luxury. You know, everything that I have in front of me right now, I've either built myself or it's the cheap version. So, you know, my keyboard and mouse aren't great. They are the cheap version. The computer parts are good, but they're not top of the range. You know, they're not the best in their category. But they are good, so don't be put off by that. I'm not telling you to not buy these computer parts, because if you're a startup like me, this is perfect. You know, I have a really good setup, I feel. In terms of games, people might be thinking, well, hang on, you have a lot of games. I'd say 2, maybe 3 games a year I actually buy myself. Everything else is a present, either for my birthday or for Christmas. And most of the time, especially since I started my channel over the last 3 years, I've had to negotiate. So like I get a present a couple of months early, so that, you know, like Fallout 4 and Just Cause 3, I got on their release days, so that I could actually start recording videos on their release days. That took a lot of negotiation, which meant Christmas Day for me last year was quite a dull affair because I didn't have many presents. But that was my choice. You know, I did choose to do that, so I'm not complaining about that at all. The point I am trying to make, guys, and again, pretty much all of you will understand this. Money is tight when you're a student. Anyone who watches my videos who themselves is a student or has been a student, you will know. And especially since student fees went up, it's got worse. And it's actually gone up again, which I didn't even know that was happening until it had been passed. So now my student fees have risen more for next year. So I'm not particularly looking forward to paying that off. But yeah, as I say, the point is, I'm not made of money. So I would say that I am a semi-amateur YouTuber. You know, I technically do it full time. This is my only form of employment right now. But I'd be the first to admit that I'm not the best at it. However, the word unprofessional, it stings. You know, it hurts a lot when someone says that, because it's just unfair that someone who doesn't even make videos themselves can judge me like that. I think that, as I say, that's where the line is drawn. So I'm sorry to be preaching to the choir, and that's not even the right expression. I'm sorry to be preaching about it, but you know, as I say, the line, there is a line. You don't cross that line, and if you do cross that line, you are gonna annoy me. And so this person, you know who you are. We've had history. This isn't the first time you've done this. If you think you're that good, or if you think you think it's easy, then I would very much like to see the content that you can produce on the budget that I've had to work with for the last 3 years. And then we'll talk about professionalism. And it's probably unprofessional of me to actually be saying this in a video, but I don't know. I try and keep my head as best I can with it. That's the moral of this story that I'm taking, is taking the moral high ground and knowing when to say something and when not to. And in the past I've kept quiet, but as I say, it builds up to a point where the line is crossed. And I am going to use that phrase a lot. Because I consider myself to be a fairly tolerant person these days. It takes a lot to really get me going, and this got me going. You know, I read the tweet and I went straight to my brother and said, you know, look at what this person's written. How can they say that? But anyway, that's by the by. I just wanted to get it out there. I wanted to let you guys know, those who do support me, you are fantastic. Those who understand, you are even more fantastic. Those who don't, I can understand those who don't necessarily understand the situation. I think the way of explaining it, because I haven't done a good job of explaining the actual situation in England right now. Back in 2010, there was an election. And in 2010, was it 2010? Yeah, it must have been 2010. Because the last election was last year, 2015, so it was about 5 years. But anyway, the general election came around, and I just turned 18. So I was really excited because I thought, this is my first election that I'm going to vote in. And, you know, I watched all of the televised debates to make sure that I was going to vote for the right person. I watched the Sky News one, I watched the BBC one, I watched the ITV one. And I hated every second of it. But I wanted to watch it because I wanted to make sure that I was voting for the right party. And I watched all the news broadcasts. I did my own private research to make sure that I was making the right decision. And this might be laughable to some people, but at the time, you know, I was just about to become a student. And one of the policies that really reached out to me was the Lib Dems policy of, we will fight to stop student fees being raised. And my brother was paying, I think he paid 3,400 in that year. And the talk was raising it to 9,000. So tripling it, basically, trebling it. And I was just about to become a university student, so that for me was unthinkable. So straight away I thought, well, if I vote for them, they have promised to stop the fees from being risen. Obviously I know politicians lie. I do. I know this. I know this for a fact. But I believed it. You know, this particular promise, I believed. So as it happened, I didn't end up voting in the election. I can't remember what the reason was. There was a valid reason as to why I didn't vote. I think I was away from home or something when the actual election took place. But that's who I would have voted for, because most of their policies spoke to me, and I felt like I could relate to them the most. And as you know, it was a coalition. The Tories technically won, but they formed a coalition with the Lib Dems. I think it was about a week after the election, the Lib Dems voted to pass the bill to raise student fees. So, if I had voted, I would have been royally screwed over. And again, you know, my first year at uni, if I'd gone to uni the year before, which if I hadn't have done sixth form would have been the case, I would have been paying 3,000, sort of 3,500, maybe 4,000. Instead, 12 months later, I paid £9,000 to go to uni. In fact, it was 8,000 in my first year. I tell a lie, it was 8,000 in my first year, but my second year, it went up to 9,000. And it's just a joke. You know, they trebled it. The quality of teaching, I like my university, don't get me wrong, and I've always said that I will promote my university if they want me to, but the quality of teaching, I wouldn't say rose that much. You know, if the quality had also trebled, then fair's fair. You know, you can say you're paying 3 times more for 3 times the service, but it didn't. The only thing that changed was the fee. It went from 3,500, maybe 4,000, I can't remember the exact amount, up to 9,000 over the space of 2 years. And yeah, royally screwed over. So, as you know, I did 2 years of mechanical engineering, and then I did a year of aerospace technology, and neither of those worked out for me. Plus there was other personal issues going on, which I'm not going to talk about right now. So I dropped out of engineering altogether and ended up doing what I'm doing now, which is media. Because I started my YouTube channel, it was my escape from life, and just ended up enjoying it. You know, really, really enjoying it and wanting to get better. The reason I started a media degree is because I knew that if I kept doing what I'm doing now, my channel wouldn't grow anywhere near as fast enough as I wanted to. So I knew the only way to get better was to actually get some proper experience. And staying at uni, as I said, I love my university. I think it's a really, really, really nice university. They've put a lot of money into it recently, which almost justifies the student fees. Not quite. It almost does, though. But you can tell just by walking around, it is a university that cares about its students. So it was a no-brainer to go back to uni to do the media degree at the University of Hertfordshire, which is the university I go to. It felt like, you know, an absolute no-brainer. And believe it or not, my channel is actually what got me in. You know, I emailed the guy who was in charge of the interactive media design course and said, you know, I'm thinking about switching over from engineering. I have a YouTube channel and a blog and a website. And, you know, he said the usual, send me the link. And I just thought, I'm going to send him the link and he's going to get back to me and say either it's not good enough or he's going to disguise it and say, you know, unfortunately, we're full for the next year. But I think it was either the same day or the day after, he sent me an email saying, let's arrange an interview. And I went in for the interview and he offered me a place on the spot. So I'm obviously doing something right with regards to my channel. He didn't care that they were slightly blurry and a little bit laggy. But, you know, that's by the by. And the reason I'm telling you all this is, first of all, so you know a little bit more about me, because I imagine, you know, I don't use a face cam or anything like that, even when I'm streaming, which I will be doing soon, by the way. That's one of the other things I wanted to talk about. I'll come to that in a minute. So there's probably a lot of you out there who don't know what I look like. You only really know what I sound like. You don't really know that much about me. So it's a good opportunity, I feel, for you to actually get to know the person behind the microphone. So you know things like, you know, my name, you know roughly where I'm from. I believe you know how old I am. Now you know more about my my university life, and the fact that I don't tolerate negativity for no reason. Again, that's what I take exception to. It's not criticism. Don't get me wrong. It is not criticism that I can't take. It's negativity for no reason. If I saw that someone had put a lot of hard work into something, I would not intentionally say negative things to bring them down. That's not me. I think that's cruel. It's cruel and it's unnecessary. They're the two key words there. But, yeah. So anyway, I end up at uni doing a media degree. My thumbnails, for example. Those of you who like my thumbnails, the skills that I needed to make those thumbnails, this might sound really stupid because a thumbnail you wouldn't think was that hard to make, but the skills, I'd never done that before. I'd never used Photoshop. I'd never so I'm just making sure I don't mess this up whilst I'm talking. Never used Photoshop before. Never designed something properly like that before. It was all sort of improvised. My channel logo is improvised. You know, I'd never done anything like it before. And now I feel like I have a real variety of skills. Things that I'd never would have been able to do a year ago. One of my assignments, and I'm not going to show you guys this because I'm not actually that pleased with the overall outcome, but one of my assignments this year was to create a game, an animated game. And I made one. As I say, it wasn't the best. I'm not particularly proud of it, but I made it, and I'd never worked with anything like that before. And I learned all about coding. I learned all about animating. I learned all about drawing, even. You know, I never really considered myself to be that good a drawer, but my grades speak otherwise. And I suppose I'd like to think I am a good example of never say die. You know, never give up. I went to sixth form. It didn't work out for me. I went to college. It did work out for me. I got a scholarship to uni, and I was probably one of the proudest moments of my life, actually, was getting that scholarship. I then went to uni and did 2 years of engineering. Didn't work out for me. And again, normally people would just go, that's it, not going to do it anymore. But not me. You know, I kept at it. And you know, my channel it's been really, really hard over the last 3 years. I say this a lot, that I make it sound easy, and I say like it's easy, but it's not really easy. Not really. When you think about it, it's not easy at all. It's very, very difficult to get started in the world of YouTube. You have to be noticed. That's the bit where I'm really struggling right now, is actually getting out there and getting noticed. It's very, very frustrating, but it is the same for everyone, you know. It doesn't get given to you on a plate. You have to work for it. It wouldn't be fair otherwise, would it? There are a couple of YouTubers out there who I do feel have had it put on a plate. Sort of. I'm not going to name names because it's not for me to say. But I do feel like there's a couple out there where I think, you have had a bit of a helping hand. But that's fair enough. You know, it's part of the process. Again, the reason I'm telling you all this is so you know more about my mindset, who I am, where I've come from, and why I'm doing this. So it all comes from this one person's comment calling me unprofessional. Basically, I just want to say to you guys, the majority of you I absolutely love. If you have a problem with the video, if the quality's a bit off or anything like that, if the audio's out of sync or whatever, for goodness sake tell me, but don't call me unprofessional. That's where I draw the line. Plus it's also given me something to talk about in this episode whilst I build these tracks, because I've actually done a lot of building whilst I've been talking, which is one of the reasons why I want people to give me topics to talk about during episodes, because I think that's a really, really good idea. Is not to distract myself, but just to give me something to do whilst I'm building, something to pass the time. So I've been talking for 20 minutes now, and it hasn't felt like that at all. It's felt like 5-10 minutes tops. But yeah, if you go on my Twitter, you'll see the conversation. I don't really want you to. I don't really know why I said that, to be honest, because it's a private matter in many respects. But I just wanted to get it out there because it's annoyed me in the past, and I've mentioned it in the past, and people have sort of, as I say, people have agreed with me to an extent, and that's why I'm saying it. Really, is just to say to you guys, this isn't easy. If this was easy, everyone would do it. You know. Finding the time to make and produce videos is hard. It's a lot harder than you think. Again, if I want to go through the time frames, I've said this before. Say this episode is 40 minutes. The shortest time in making the video is actually the recording of it. So this 40 minutes, this is the easiest part. And if you struggle at this step, then I don't really know what to suggest. But as I say, this is the easiest part, is the actual recording of the video. Then you've got to choose editing software, and editing software is not cheap. Again, my editing software that I use now was bought for me by my brother, and I specifically requested that he got me an older version because it would be cheaper. To put that in perspective, when I started at uni last year, I used my student discount to buy Adobe Creative Cloud, and I used that for some of my, I used Photoshop for making my thumbnails. Even the student version is not cheap. You know, a decent editing software for videos, you're looking at about £600 just for editing software. To put that in context, my original build PC, so since my first PC, I've had to replace the motherboard, the processor, and the power supply. Take those three things away. The original PC, case, graphics card, hard drive, power supply, motherboard, 2 lots of RAM, and did I say case? I think I said case. Keyboard, mouse, all of that stuff cost me £650. The whole thing, £650. If you add in replacement parts, we're probably looking at about £800. Now compare that to a piece of editing software, £600. You can see now how it adds up. Being a YouTuber is not cheap. People, there's still that false idea going around that it's just sitting around playing games all day. Believe me, it's not. A lot of it is spent editing. People spend, I mean, I'm a very lazy editor. I do the plug and play method, which I've talked to you guys about before. You get the audio, you get the video, you stick them together, outro on the end, and that's the video made. I'm very lazy. I'll be the first to admit that, because I have to get this is my own choice as well, by the way. I'm not complaining at anybody. I made this decision, but I have to get 5 of these videos out a week, plus 2 city skylines, and if I have them available, 2 lots of Minecraft and 2 lots of Space Engineers. Once I go back to uni, that schedule will be revised. Let's just tell you that now. And I've also got the setup, of course, with 5 weeks on, 1 week off. That 1 week might be changing to more than 1 week, or the 5 weeks might be reduced once I go back to uni. That's when I say the schedule will be revised. But I would say on an average day, I spend more time editing than I do anything else with my time. And rendering, rendering takes a long time, and if you make a mistake, you have to start all over again. You can't like re-render 30 seconds of a video unless you specifically cut it out and then just add it back in afterwards. And even then you have to do some kind of stitching process, and even that then has to be rendered. It is not easy, my friends. Again, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. I encourage people to have a go. With the system that you have now, the computer you have on your desk in front of you, or on your lap, or whatever it is, I encourage you to try and make a YouTube video. Because if you know what you're doing, it's very doable, and you know this. Again, the advice I would give people is go on tutorial websites. It's what I did to start with. As I say, 4 years ago, I knew nothing about computers. I knew how to use them. I've been using computers since I was 2 years old, give or take. And that might sound like an exaggeration, but apparently that's true. That's what my family have told me. But I've been using computers for a long time, and every time I replaced a computer, I did sort of curiosity took over, and I opened up my old one to see what was inside it, and it just looked like a bunch of things. Now I know what everything does because I had to teach myself how to do it. No one taught me. I did it myself. So that's the key that I'm trying to say to these people who criticize me is I don't have anything given to me. People buy me presents. That's where I get my equipment from. But they don't then sit there and teach me step by step how to use it. All of that comes from me. Some of my videos are trial and error. When I first got my capture card, these videos are still on my channel, by the way, so go check them out. When I first got my capture card, I did 2 videos, one on FIFA and one on Battlefield, just to test the capture card. And that's the only way really you can test things is in the field. You have to actually use them. And people have given me advice on OBS, which is what I use to capture this, and pretty much anything. Even my my capture card now goes through OBS, and OBS is free to use software, so I could be limited slightly by that because it's free to use. It's not as actually no. I want to argue against that. People use Fraps and things like that, but is Fraps actually any better than OBS? That's the question I'd like to know the answer to, because from what I've heard in the past, Fraps is full of problems. I've always hear people complaining about Fraps, and yet OBS, as long as you choose the right capture setting, you can capture anything. This is on a different capture setting to City Skylines, for example, and it's also in a different setting to Minecraft. Minecraft is the only game that I've ever had problems with, and that's only been since recent updates. So I'm very curious to know about that. But there's another example of me having to start out slow. Originally, I wanted to be a vlogger. That was what I wanted my YouTube channel to be about. I wanted to vlog. Found out very, very quickly that if you want a decent vlogging camera, it's going to cost about the same as the computer price that I told you earlier. So that was out the window. I do now have my own camera, which me and my brother paid for. We went halves on it. But to raise money to try and buy the camera, that's why I started making gaming videos, because I found out about OBS. I found out it was free to use software. There was no visible strings attached, and I'll still say right now, actually, there doesn't seem to be any strings attached. So I recommend, if you want to use decent free software to capture games, OBS is one of your best bets. But yeah, it's just it was the only way, really. using free software with a very cheap build PC to try and raise enough money to buy better equipment to make better videos, to then earn more money to buy better equipment to make better video. And you can sort of see where it's going. It's a bitter cycle of constantly having to spend in order to gain. But, you know, I'm here. I have a functioning PC, which I'm very pleased with. It's a very good PC. I highly recommend it. The actual components now are, I mean, they were old when I bought them, so they must be like 5 years old now. So I wouldn't recommend these exact ones. I'd recommend the next ones up, because even they're probably cheaper than you'd expect. But you know, I'm gonna keep drumming this home in my videos. It's all on a budget. Everything I do is on the cheap, and I'm very stingy when it comes to things. If I see a Steam game I like, I'm very tempted to go in for it. But then everything that I then spend is coming out of my savings, which I'm supposed to be, you know, saving. So that's not the smartest thing for me to be doing. But that's the way it is. Unfortunately, you have to spend. I'm just coming to put these signals in, which is why I'm hesitating a bit on the talking to make sure I get these right. 7, 8, 9, 10. You there, you there. But yeah, the whole point that I've been making in this video is this isn't easy. If there's anyone out there who watches what I do and thinks they can do a better job, then just once, I'm going to say to you, give it your best shot. See what you can come up with. Because I guarantee, even if you do a good job of it, I guarantee you will be surprised at how difficult it can be. That's just the way it is. You know, it's never as easy as you think it is. And if you look at the great YouTubers and how hard they had to work to get to where they are, that's why so many people look up to them. Because they worked hard to get to where they are. You look at the great YouTubers and you look at what they do, and some of them have lost their way a little bit. Again, I'm not going to name any names, but some of them have lost their way, and it's a shame when that happens, because they, more than anybody, will know how hard it is to get to where they are. But you know, it's just it's one bad part of YouTube, is some people just, they do start taking it for granted. I will never take this for granted, believe me. I know how hard it is. There's me counting again, which is why I've gone into silence. I know how hard this is to get set up. I know how hard it is to get noticed. If I could wake up tomorrow with 1 million subscribers, that would do me. That would be my optimum number of subscribers, is 1 million. I'd love to get to 1 million. I wouldn't quit, don't get me wrong, but that's a very nice number. As I say, I would absolutely adore getting to that number, but it's not going to happen anytime soon. And that is the harsh. I didn't put the crossover in. That's annoying. That's the harsh reality of it. Is it's not easy. It is not easy. If it was easy, we'd all be doing it. That is the moral of today's video, guys. If it was easy, we'd all be doing it. How the hell am I going to redo this? So you're the slow line. So I'm going to have you come down like... Alright, I have an idea. It's just whether it will work or not. So you are going to fly over the top like this. And then you're going to come down like this. I want you to climb up here. I did complete the wrong one. Get rid of you. I want you to climb up here. Get rid of you. I will replace you, don't worry. You're going to go there. You're going to connect up like that. This one is going to connect here. This one's going to connect here. This one's going to connect here. Once I've gotten rid of signal. Stick you all back. Get rid of you, you, and all of these. Including this one here. Actually, this... Yeah, no, sorry. Derped again. That's fine. That is fine. Right, now I need to get rid of this one and get rid of this one and replace you with this. It's one of the things I like about schools at the moment. I have a serious problem with the education system. One of the things they are teaching kids is about computers, which I think is really cool. That's needed. And there's a lot of YouTubers out there who support that. And I think that's a really good idea. But as I keep saying, I'm just going to keep saying it, guys. It is not as easy as you think. It is not. Absolutely no. But I'm going to take a break from that just for a second, because we've got to get some trains running on this line. Now you notice I've put 2 mainline stations in. I also haven't put any actual stations in elsewhere. So I'm going to put the express trains in first. Am I? Actually? No. No, I'm not. What am I talking about? I've completely lost the plot now. I'm so distracted by what I was talking about at the start of the episode. It has thrown me off my rhythm a little bit, let's say. And so I wouldn't say... I don't want to swear on my video, so I'm not going to say what I actually said to my brother when I read the tweet, because that wouldn't be very nice. But it's safe to say that I wasn't happy. And I think that comes across in my response, which again, normally I would let that lie. If someone said that, I would sort of not really rise to it. But I really felt like something had to be said. I really do, and I'm sorry that I keep saying it, but I don't know. I was annoyed. I was annoyed. Definitely annoyed. I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to get rid of this to make this station, because I don't think it's going to be that big a station. I think, yeah, I think that will do. Although, no. Sorry, I'm dithering again. I'm sorry. I do this a lot. So that goes there. I need you to go there and there, and I need this one to go there. Alright, that's fine. Up here, I'm going to have 4. Also, Reedy Read, I know you'll be watching, as you always do, my good friend. The idea that we have been discussing about exchanging maps, it's, as I said to you the other night, it is probably the only way to efficiently do it. It's something I would still like to avoid doing as a recurrent thing. Maybe at the end of every week I'll send you the map through so you can update the map you're making, but I don't know. I mean, it's a lot of dedication at your end to actually be doing it, and I'm very, very grateful. Don't get me wrong. In fact, I don't even know why I'm saying that, because I am very, very grateful. It's an incredible map, and it gets better and better each line you add. I just think in terms of actually sharing data, it's going to be a headache for both of us at times. That's where things can be a little bit... If there was a way that I could just click save game and it would automatically update it at your end, that's what I'm leaning towards saying right now. Is I wish that was possible. Believe me. Maybe if I... actually, I'm just thinking, Google Drive. I could send it to you via Google Drive. That might do it. Maybe I could set up something on there for it to automatically update. So then you just have to access it, and I don't have to actively send it to you every week. That's where I'm going with this. Is I'm not going to say no to it, believe me, because you're doing me a favour. So it'd be a bit out of order if I just went, no. So I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is, so it's easier for both of us, really, because I know it's hard for you to watch the video at times for many reasons, and I know it's hard to make the map work, as I'm sure most software it doesn't behave itself all the time. So that's the main reason why I am incredibly grateful, because it's something I knew I wouldn't be able to do myself, and you offered, which is why I'm incredibly grateful. Which is why I also want to make it easier for you. It's not just about me, it's about making it easier for you too. And anybody, actually, anybody who wants to... One of these should be 6 again, really, shouldn't it? Probably this one. Anybody who wants to help out in the series, I've got no problems with that. You know, I keep saying at the end of every episode, I say, if you have any ideas for future episodes, drop them in the comment section below. And I'm still a little bit underwhelmed by that response. People do suggest things. Don't get me wrong. People suggest things, and they are awesome suggestions. And pretty much every single one of them has been selected and either done to the letter or adapted. So, like connecting up to Wardinghattan, it's done. It happened yesterday. In fact, no, it was yesterday. I'm getting my dates mixed up now, guys. I'm absolutely... I don't even know. My brain's just not working. But yeah, that happened yesterday. So that's now happened. Someone suggested it, and it's happened. Any suggestions like that, they're going to happen. Someone suggested about building a line through the centre of Guard City, and it's happened. BNSF, I believe it was, suggested about a high-speed station called Guard City Exchange. I'm not promising it's going to happen in that exact form, but that idea will be taken forward and it will be used for something in the future. I'm not even going to say spoiler alert or anything like that, because I personally, at this stage of time, at recording this episode, I do not know what the future of Guard City is still. It has one, that's all I know. It's going to be... You know, there's going to be a high-speed connection. The metro system is going to be expanded. I'm looking to build a metro system that's going to rival something along the lines of New York or Paris, which have more lines than London. That would be the overall goal, and I'd be very happy if I could achieve that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right, there's the... I couldn't see that signal for some reason. That's why I was counting it. Okay, so this is going to be a staggered station. That's fine. No problems there. I'm distracting myself whilst talking again, aren't I? Just talking about interaction. You know, I want my channel to be very social. I want people to be able to communicate with me. I'm not a closed door, you know. I'm very much open to ideas. It's me, in a way, admitting that my creativity isn't perhaps as good as it should be. In a way, I'm sort of admitting that. What I'm basically saying to you guys is I struggle for ideas at times, and that tends to be when series just disappear suddenly for no real reason. It's because I've exhausted my options, and I'm waiting for my brain to sort of have a eureka moment. And it literally, you know, if you ever read the story of where eureka comes from, jumping out the bath, it's like that with me, but I jump out of bed instead. I'll be fast asleep and I will suddenly just think of something and I'll have to write it down immediately. So, you know, my phone, I've got 3 sketchbooks now. I bought another one recently. One is sort of being reserved for uni, but the other 2 are for video ideas. And I've got them sort of dotted around the place so that if I think of an idea, I can write it down immediately. I've got apps on my phone for taking notes, and it's all because I'll suddenly have an idea and I'll write it down. Or if someone leaves a comment that inspires me, I want to get it down as quick as possible. But that's where I need you guys to come in. I need you guys to actually be there with ideas. I need you to be providing me with ideas. I can't do it myself. There is a limit, unfortunately. And many of you have proved in the past. You go right the way back to the beginning of my channel, in Cities in Motion 2. So many of you have proved that you are fantastic at coming up with ideas. And the second to last city that I built on Cities in Motion 2, I'd say about 75% of that wouldn't have existed if it wasn't for the comment section and people suggesting things. It was just amazing, the response and the ideas that people had, and I really want to carry that over into this series. You know, and all my series. Never mind this one, all of them. If you have an idea for something in Minecraft, someone has already expressed interest in joining, and I will be setting the server up. If anything, that's encouraged me to get my backside in gear faster and actually get a server set up so that can happen. But on top of that, you know, space engineers, wanting to get people on the Space Engineers server is a key component for this year that I'd like to get done before September, if possible, so before next month. But also ideas. You know, I watch videos to get inspiration, but I need actual people, real life people saying, why don't you do this? Why don't you try that? You know, there's no such thing as a bad idea, especially in space. There's so many different ways you can do things. My ideas get limited. If you're sat there on an idea and you're waiting to tell somebody, let me know. You could end up being on the server actually making it a reality. That's the thing. I don't steal ideas per se. I use them, sure, but only with people's permission. So yeah, just give me ideas, people. Give me ideas. Give me suggestions. Give me inspiration. And together, you know, I'll be the one who makes it happen on screen. But it's as much a joint project, if anything. And that is really one of the reasons why I want people to join me on these servers. Is people can come up with ideas. Other people can interpret those ideas, but it might not be the way that the person who suggested it wanted it to go. So what better idea than to actually have someone suggest an idea and then join the server that the idea will be built on and build it themselves exactly how they want it. You can't, you know, it can't really go wrong then. It can end up not quite being what you want it to be, and then, you know, that's a whole different debate. But it's your work still. You know, you've actually made it a reality. It's yours. So if I was given the chance, there's loads of people who I used to watch who, if they'd said come on the server, I would leap at it. Confidence wise I probably wouldn't have, but practicality, I would be on there wanting to build things. And I've always said, it's how my live streaming career started, was people joining me on Space Engineers, because I've always said if you follow the rules, there's no reason whatsoever why you can't join in. I hate the idea of excluding people. So, by all means, if you want to join, let me know. And I believe there's actually a way of setting this up as multiplayer as well. I'm not sure if I can do it on this map, but in the future, definitely. I would love to set up a multiplayer game. And that's one of the things I really liked about Minecraft, and I'd like it to be with this as well. When I was starting out the city with Slip, I would be on the server for like 4 or 5 days. Not continuously, obviously I'd be logging off and on again, but I'd be on there solidly for like 4 or 5 days doing work, and then for, let's say, a week, I wouldn't be able to go on there for whatever reason. I'd then come back on again after that week, and everything, literally everything, had been rebuilt. And again, I'm not complaining, because it was a very good job, but it's the fact that just because I wasn't there doesn't mean that it ground to a halt. And that's one of my problems at the moment with, again, especially Minecraft, working on my own, is if I'm not there, it doesn't, you know, nothing happens. Nothing gets built, nothing gets adjusted, nothing gets fixed if it gets broken. It's why I love the idea of opening it up to the community, because if something does go wrong, or if an idea comes up, or something needs built or fixing or whatever, someone can do it. There's actually someone there who's capable, perfectly capable, of doing it. And I love the idea of being able to come back onto a server after a long time off, and it being different. You know, new things to explore. It's like starting a game for the first time. You get to spend the first half an hour sort of walking around just going, wow, this is incredible. Someone built this. That's what really would excite me the most about it, is just being able to see what people's minds have invented. It would just be fantastic. But I need people for that. I will be reviewing the application process on my website. I need to pull my finger out and do my website, because people are still waiting for the world download for the previous map on this series, and I'm very, very sorry that it's not up yet. Basically, I made a website, and I made it in a rush, and I've looked at it many times since and just gone, that's rubbish. And it's something that I do like. I like the idea of being able to build my own website, but I think, again, I'll need an input from somebody else. I'll need just someone to look over my shoulder and say, yeah, stick with that idea, or no, that's rubbish, don't do that. Just because otherwise it's going to remain rubbish, really. I don't particularly want that. So yeah, that's about it, really. That's all I'm going to say. This episode I think has run its course. I'm going to add trains off camera. You know the drill with adding trains by now. I'm going to have a service that's going to do the sort of the six tile length, stopping at all the main stations, and then I'm going to do the service that's 4 tiles long and only stopping at stopping at all the stations. I also need to do that for this side of things as well. And then I might put an express service in, I might not. I haven't 100% decided yet. But all of that is to come next time, guys, because it is time to end this episode. So thank you very much for listening to me ranting at the start. I know that it's not necessarily the best way to start an episode, but as I say, I feel like it had to be said for the greater good. But thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for your ideas. Thank you very much for your suggestions. Thank you very much for sticking with it. I know it means a lot. It really does. So thank you very much once again. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. There's loads of cool stuff coming up that I've got planned. If you have already subscribed, then thank you very much for your continued support once again. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and of course if you're enjoying the series. If you don't like the video for whatever reason, drop a dislike. I don't mind if you press the thumbs down, but just tell me why in the comments. Give me that criticism. Let me know what I can improve on, but just don't make it negative like you might have seen in the past. It's a really fine line, I know, and it sounds really contradictory, but there is a line. There is a line. It's a very clear line. You'll know where the line is, I'm sure. But yeah, let me know what I can improve on. Let me know what's good and what's not good. And until next time, guys, I will see you soon.